everyone. Adam here. So is a podcast. I got to sit down with Christian James and Arvi Ragu. Christian's an actor, Arvi is a director, to talk about their newest movie, Cerebrum, which is available now. Cerebrum's a sci-fi movie, kind of a guy dealing with issues with his dad through the context of this machine that's a breakthrough in the scientific world that his dad's been working on. And Christian's character goes back home for some paid work and ends up getting roped into this thing and kind of mending fences with his father. So you get this cool father-son story, but also a really cool sci-fi movie. And without going into the concept, because I don't want to spoil anything, especially as it progresses. If I talk too much, it'll kind of give things away. But this is the type of story that would be at home in the Black Mirror universe. Maybe that Philip K. Dick shorts series that was on Amazon, Dreams of Electric Sheep or something like that. It's smart sci-fi in that vein is what I'm getting at. I really enjoyed this. I thought it was really good. Christian and Arvi were a lot of fun to talk to. So I hope you enjoy the interview. I'm sitting down with Christian James and Arvi Ragu, who have a new movie out or coming out on May 4th, Cerebrum. How you guys doing?
Great. Doing well.
We were just talking a minute before, but Arvi, you were saying you guys just had, what was it? What was the festival?
It's the 54th annual World Fest Film Festival based out in Houston.
That's awesome. And you said it went really, really well.
Yeah, it went well. And we actually won the top award for the science fiction category.
Oh, congratulations to both of you. That's huge.
Yes.
which I would like to interject. The World Fest Houston is, I think, one of the longest standing indie film festivals in the States or in the world.
Oh wow!
So yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big one. That's so cool.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's 54 years in running, so you can see.
Yeah, I would think so. That's so cool.
And I have the honor of finding Steven Spielberg and Ang Lee and all of those. Every one of them won their first film festival awards in World Fest. So, if that makes any connection.
Yeah, it's got a huge pedigree. Okay.
Yeah.
That's very cool. All right. Before we go deeper into Cerebrum, though, I always like to ask creative people kind of how they got their start. So, Christian, I don't know if you want to lead off. Like, how'd you get into acting?
Oh man, so acting for me was I just graduated high school. I got to fitness. I started doing CrossFit, and throughout my elementary to high school years, I didn't have a lot of friends. I was kind of overweight, got made fun of a lot, and finally got into fitness. And all of a sudden, I saw this change in how people kind of reacted to me and saw me. And I was always kind of a goofball, ADHD, always kind of all over the place. Like to be creative. And one day, a friend, and just in passing, was like, "Oh yeah, I'm doing background acting." And I was like, "Oh cool. What's the website?" They're like, "That sounds like a bunch of fun." So they gave me the website, and I believe it was like February something of 2016. I applied for Tyler Perry's Medea's Christmas, and I remember I was in the gym when I got the email being like, "Hey, you've been selected," and I was like over the moon. I was like, "Oh yeah, like I'm a fucking actor now." Like what, Finally got on set, came to realize, I'm one of 1,000 people. We're but one of the biggest essentials to a movie, that keep everything flowing and keep it from being a stagnant, just like a scene with no one in it. Mm-hmm. And I got on set, and I just remember looking around, being like, "Wow, this is what goes into making a movie. I could do this for the rest of my life." And I did background acting for about 3 months, and then I kind of have, the telltale Hollywood story where I got found on Instagram by a manager named Jim Jordan out of Calabasas, California, and he reached out to me, signed me, got me signed to my first agency in Atlanta. And then that was kind of it. I did the background for 3 months, and then I kind of did some small indie films, got found on Instagram, and then just got signed and just started doing auditions and started working my way up. And so I acted for 3 years in Atlanta. And then actually, no, that's 2016 was wrong. That was like 2013, because ended 2015, I moved to LA, and then I came out here, and I never looked back. And so I had a great agent when I first got out here, and me and him split ways. And then, I just signed up with a new manager, and she's been phenomenal. And I've just been really blessed, man. I've been really blessed with the career I had, and just be able to do this and call it my career and make a living off of it it's phenomenal.
That's awesome. Did you find that being in Atlanta really helped you kind of get your foot in the door initially? Because a lot goes on in Atlanta.
Yeah, man, a lot happens in Atlanta. Atlanta has been one of those ones that's growing, and so if I didn't have Atlanta, I don't think I would have succeeded in California, because Atlanta taught me a lot. And it was a place where, you can make mistakes and it's not, detrimental. Like California, if you grow up and you're raised here and you start off here, you know everyone, you're in the thick of it. Mm-hmm. So Atlanta was a great place for me to learn. I had an acting coach who's more like a mentor. His name's Gary Weeks, and he's been in over 80 to 100 films. The guy's a phenomenal actor. And I remember I did my first audition with him, and his friend Anthony Reynolds was there, who was in Cell with Sam Jackson and John Cusack. He played the opposite lead against them. And I had my first audition. I went in there, and he was like, "Hey, I got my buddy here. Do you mind if he sits in on your audition?" I said, "No, that's great. Please, the more the merrier. Like, you guys know what you're doing. I have no idea. This is my first time ever doing this." And I did my first read for him. And they both looked at me, and they were just like, "You're going to do well. Like, don't worry. You're going to be fine. Like, you'll make it." And then, yeah, man, I just had them. So every audition I would go to them, and they would help me coach through it. And I started learning a lot from them. And it wasn't just like me learning acting, but it was also me learning the business side of it and what goes into it, what to look out for, and what, the traps not to fall into, and and to always, always stay true to your character and always stay true to your morals. And yeah, man. So I had that Hollywood, Hollywood story of getting found on Instagram and doing that. But I was also blessed to have a lot of people in my life that had been through the thick of it and knew what they were talking about to give me that lead up so I could, be in a good position.
That's awesome. How about you, Arvi? Was it always directing?
No. Mine is a totally different story. So when I came from India, I had a bachelor's in mechanical engineering, and I came to the States to do my master's in computer science. So while doing computer science master's, I had to take some extra credit hours to like get the tuition waiver. So I was just looking around like swimming and guitar and whatnot, and I found like acting class with 3 credit hours. So like, sure, why not just take it for the fun of it? So I took the class and I scored an A. So to which the professor said, like, "You're coming back next summer and taking the advanced class." I was like, okay, maybe I'll just go try it. Did the advanced class, and I got a job in Orange County, which is south of LA. So I moved there back in 2003. So living in Orange County, you're getting exposed to all these film stars and whatnot from LA. So took some bunch of acting classes there, did some short films and student films. Then fortunately moved to Austin after that, where the film industry was growing. Did a bunch of short films and all that in Austin. But it was an organic growth for me to be a writer and director. I was acting, initially, but I wasn't good at it, not like Christian. So kind of realized like I need to switch gears there. So I started like helping friends out with like, just editing and writing here and there, and started directing my own short films. I did like 7 or 8 short films, and 3 years ago, I said like, hey, it's time to just move on and make a feature film, and started writing and producing and directing. So
that's really cool. That's why I love asking creative people how you got your start, because you guys could not have more different origins, yet you collaborated on a project. It's really cool.
100%. 100%. Arvi is amazing, man. Working with him was definitely a highlight. It was a pleasure. It was great. Thank you.
Was this the first project you two worked together on?
Yeah, it was.
That's correct.
How did you each come to the project?
So from my side, since I wanted to make the feature film, I started writing the script, and and I was the initial producer to bring the team together. While I was doing that, we have 2 other producers from LA, Andy and Jill, and they had some decent connection in LA. And I think they spoke to Christian's manager at the time, and they recommended Christian like, hey, he's up and coming. You got to try it out, and that's how we met. And to be honest, the first time I saw Christian, I'm like, man, he looks like a football player. Like, is he gonna pull this off? And the first day he came and did the table read, I'm like, okay, this is my guy. He's my guy. He's on. So yeah.
Nice. Christian, had you ever had a role this big? Because you are, but you're not just playing one character.
I had just come off of filming Hellfest, which came out in 2018 for Lionsgate and CBS, when I got the offer for this movie. But Hellfest, I was playing a college kid going to a theme park with a bunch of friends, and honest to God, there wasn't a lot of acting that needed to be done. I was myself throughout most of the movie. I had friends watch the movie and they'd be like, "So you didn't act at all in that, did you?" And I was like, "Not really. Like, I just kind of did me." But this one, no, man. This one was a curveball. It really was, because like Arvi said, they reached out, and I got the script, and we started filming 3 days after I got the script. Wow. So I had 3 days to really get ready for this. But it was great, man. Playing multiple characters, and I'm super proud of the work I did with the short time that I had. Me and Arvi, I was joking with him yesterday, because during I play my father, and I have to do his voice, and I maybe had 5 or 6 days with Russo when we were filming, and so every single time I had to do a scene and play him, it was just I would have a headphone in, and they'd give me playback of like a few of his lines from like the other day, and so I'd listen to that, and then I'd try to match his voice as best I could. But no, man, I never had a role where I had to be multiple characters and bring out all these different emotions for something so large. It was first time.
Yeah, roles like that are always fascinating to watch, as how someone can keep it all straight in their head. Because I imagine on any given day, you're not just like, oh, today we're doing all of you as this character. Then the next day, like, you're probably back and forth all the time.
Oh yeah, we film one scene where it's like Christian, and then Arvi be like, "All right, so you're like 30% Tom and Kirk right now," and I'll be like, "All right, like let me work on that." And then I would be there, and I'd just be like, "Hey guys, so how much of Kirk am I today?" And they'd go back and they'd be like, 45%, 60%. I'd be like, "All right, cool. Let me just do some calculations real quick. I'll come to it."
That's a good point too, because it's not just now you're him, now you're him. It's a sliding scale. So you really had to, wow. Yeah, that is a challenge. You also sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, if because of the way we were shooting, right? Like, he has to play both the characters, and he's like sitting and giving you one character performance, and we don't want to move the camera and say like, hey, now it's the day after, and it's the father watching the son. You're a father now, and when he's doing that, I would be like, okay, that's like about 80% now. Like, can you like bring it down to 40? In this part of the script, you're supposed to be 40. And Christian was like, okay, I got it, 40, got it. Like, it was just this gradual adjustments.
Yeah, it's and like Arvi was just saying, you were kind of also acting off your own performance a lot too. So as the characters are switching, they're talking to each other in a way. I'm trying to be vague for people who haven't seen it yet. But yeah, that's really interesting. So how was that?
Man, it was it's I had a lot of connection with the script in the first part, with like tension with your father and all that stuff, in my past. And so I think a lot of it was a self-healing for myself. So I was kind of having this conversation with my father as well, and in real life, and just and going back and forth, to not give too much, but the growth and the healing that they have as father and son. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was it honestly, it wasn't that hard, because it was more so me thinking, hey, what would I want my father to say to me? How would I want my father to do this? So it was just digging deep, and trying to find what I wanted to hear.
It's really interesting, the whole performance, but yeah, just the way that you went about tackling it. RV, speaking of the father-son relationship, that was a really well balanced because it didn't take away from the story at all, because like the kind of sci-fi element of the story, but you had a lot of really subtle ways that it kind of healed itself over time. How hard was that to get authentic?
Yeah, knowing when I got into even the writing stage, right? I know it was going to be a sci-fi, but not like a pure science fiction for the fact of science fiction. Right? It's not just about the cool sci-fi and here's a CGI, here's like all the stuff. It needed the heart. So from there on, I knew that the way the movie wanted to move is the relationship that builds, right? Like, they had the opportunity when they were together in a sense, and they didn't build it. Now they're in like a very precarious situation of sorts without giving a whole lot out. They have to figure a way out to come together. They both understand where they each come from. Tom understands like why Kirk did what he did. Kirk understands why is Tom mad, and they kind of like now bond together to let go of that and like become the father and son they were.
Yeah, I liked how it happened subtly, and it wasn't just like a switch was flipped and all of a sudden like, oh, I understand you now, everything's great. Like it was really nice that it kind of found its way in.
Yeah.
Was the more sci-fi side of it, because you said you didn't want to do sci-fi for the sake of sci-fi, where would that initial concept come from? Because it was just science enough that you bought it all.
Yes, it sounds crazy, but it actually just came from me going to Amazon to do purchases, right? So every time I go into Amazon, you would just see a bunch of these lists that says like, hey, here are the things you might like, and most of the time they are right. Like I would look at it like, I didn't think of it, but Amazon can think of this. And being a science guy, I kind of realized how they run the algorithm and can figure out what you want. So one of my thought was like, what if I'm dead tomorrow, but Amazon can still send my family the gifts that I would give? Like every Christmas you would send my kids the gift that I would have sent them based on what I was buying now. So it was one of that thought. Then I realized like, okay, it is possible to have all your digital footprint of your Facebook post, your Instagram post, your purchases, your bank account, everything that there is digital, and convert it into a personality that could live forever. Right. So that's where it kind of like came from, as like, okay, there is a way to like digitally process your memory or keep it safe, and that kind of extended into the movie it is.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I can see that. Christian, do you have any background or like a fondness for science fiction?
Man, I'm gonna be honest. I grew up on like Rambo.
Okay.
A lot of my stuff I grew up on like action movies. But like, I guess science fiction, The Matrix. I also love The Matrix.
Yeah, there you go.
So yeah, that was a cool one. Man, it's also just like it's a cool experience. You get to do something that isn't real, isn't possible, but still is possible.
Yeah, exactly.
To kind of like bring truth to that and tell that story. It's just fun, man. It's science fiction. You can have a lot of fun with the realities that people see happening in the future.
Did you have a hard time with some of the more I guess jargon dialogue? Because there's not a ton of tech speak, but you had to sell it that you knew what you were getting your character into.
Not really. I mean, Tom didn't know too much, and without giving anything away, Kirk is pretty well balanced. So when the two come together, it was kind of easy, and selling it. I mean, glad I sold it.
That's an actor's job.
Yeah, you definitely did.
I grew up on playing Doom 95 and doing the computer stuff, and I was pretty tech savvy in school. So I had a little bit of a background, nothing major. If a programmer came up to me today and was like, "Yo, this," and I'd just be like, "I don't know, but yeah, that sounds good."
Yeah. Like, okay. You can't understand it enough to get by.
Yeah, I can BS a little bit of it.
There you go. Perfect. Arvi, as the plot got more complicated, how did you keep it all straight? Like, you have the characters, but then you have the actors playing a different character. And again, I'm trying not to give away, especially the ending of the movie. But it gets pretty complex as time passes. Was that hard to keep straight in your script?
In the script, it was okay, because like if you read my script, each character will have, like, when they are kind of loaded, I kind of like noted in the script saying like, hey, this is who you are, but this is what you're loaded with, kind of like, I have like denotion on the script, so that way like actors can follow along. The few things that we did was, in the when I wrote that, I gave each of the character distinct mannerisms, so when the other person is doing loaded, they can copy that mannerism. And also during the shoot, each of the actors would like sit and say like, hey, how would you say it? And then show me how would you do it, and then they try to mimic that, like, oh, okay, this is your style of saying it, let me go and try that and do it that way. So they had a lot really good chemistry, like Christian, John, Ruby, and Andy. They all, like, all the three guys, every time they would like play off each other in a sense, they would sit together and figure it out and say like, okay, I got what you're doing, okay, so I can go do the same thing.
Okay, that's interesting. And Christian, was that kind of what you were saying with the earpiece, so you could hear the other actors' voices? And
yeah, man, that was mainly just for Russo, because he wasn't on. I think he maybe had like 8 days total, if that.
He had like 4 days.
Okay.
Yeah, he wasn't on there a lot. So like I think the first 4 days were with him, and then he was gone. So every single time when like we moved locations and all that stuff, I just had the earpiece. But luckily with all the other characters, if it was me doing one of them, they were usually on set. Like, Andy was one of our producers and also plays Bruno, and so he was always on set. So if I ever was playing him or anything like that, I was always able to just go straight to him.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Speaking of the shoot, how long was the overall shoot?
It was 21 days.
Okay, not too bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you were able to kind of take your time, make sure you had, take your time to a degree, make sure you had everything you needed to have.
Yeah. Well, we kind of like over enthusiastically say like we can finish it in 16 days. So the first round of shooting was scheduled for 16 days, and then I come back to Houston. And I'm like, ooh, okay, I need to go back. This is not what I wanted. So luckily, like, everyone was available. We were able to get the schedule straight, and then we went back and did another 5 days and completed it.
Was that in the editing process where you realized like, oh, I could really use something here, something over there?
Both. Just coming out of the first 16 days, I knew there were like scenes missing, so I know I wanted to go back. But before I went back, I did a quick pre-edit to kind of like have like an idea of like what other things are missing. Since we are going back, might as well just go and get it. So
yeah, that's nice that it worked out that everybody was still around.
Yeah.
When was this shot?
This was shot in 2000 end of 2018, 2019. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So it's been
like
been a little
I think
while.
we started in November, and then Arvi, you went back, and then I think we picked up January of 2019.
February 2019. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we shot for the first 16 days in November, and then we were off December, January, and then came back beginning of February and finished it off.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. And how was the post for this? Because it is very sci-fi. Like for people who are into smart science fiction, this is right up your alley. But there wasn't an insane amount of effects and crazy things that I would think would take longer in post.
Yeah, post-wise, VFX was not a huge pull, right? It wasn't too bad. The only thing that kind of I wish I did differently is do all my post-production together. Like I could have had the audio guy working while the editing is being done, have the sound guy working, like the music being done. I kind of like went about it like one at a time. I had the edit and then went into get the music done, then went to the audio guy, then kind of went to the VFX. So it was just all like one after the other. But that's mainly because I also have a full-time job. I work as a in IT, so that's because of that I couldn't put all my eggs into this and just like go at it in full force. So every evening I could just dedicate like 4 hours, 5 hours helping people out or like, guiding them. So it kind of took a long process, but I had some phenomenal people working in the post too. Like, the people that I work with, my editor, my sound mixer, and my audio composer, they were all like great guys. And two of them live in Dallas, one in New York. So which means we had to do Zoom calls. Like we would do Zoom calls like this, and we will record the Zoom calls, give the feedback. But they pulled it through.
Wow, that's really inspiring advice for people who want to do something. Like a lot of people are working a job, but they'd like to do something in the creative arts. And you made a movie of this caliber while working a full-time job. Like that is something to let people know that it is possible if you want it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You just have to sacrifice your Sunday night footballs and basketball games and all that. Yeah.
Maybe some sleep.
Throw that out the window.
Yeah. That's awesome though. That's for anyone says I don't have time, you have the time.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Christian, was there anything about the shooting process, like maybe working with your co-stars, that was kind of a unique experience to this movie that you're really glad you got to walk away with it?
I think, man, it's everyone was super, super fun. I just, like I said, I just came off another movie, and to be able to go right back into it and be able to like work with everyone, and everyone like really meshed well together. It's just, like I said, we had 16 days at the beginning. So everyone, was a little stressed, a little tired and trying to get everything done, but everyone, pulled through and just had the best of outlooks on everything. So, just a blessing to be able to work with a lot of people that, stayed happy and stay well-rounded during, stressful times. Definitely.
Yeah. I imagine making a movie, especially in just a few weeks, is very stressful.
Yeah.
A lot of long days.
Oh yeah. But like I said, everyone was a great sport about it. Everyone super happy. No one threw any fits. Everyone was very dedicated to just getting it done and doing it the best possible way.
Yeah, that's great. And I know at the very beginning we talked about the Houston festival you guys just did and won, which is again awesome. Did you get to any other festivals?
No, we didn't pursue a whole lot of festivals because we know this is going to be more on the commercial side of things, putting it out there. So, obviously we tried the big ones, but we didn't get through into the big ones. So, the Sundance and South by Southwest are the two big ones I can think of. But so after that, we said like, let's just hold back for a little bit and just pursue the distribution route and sales route more than just the film festival route. That was going on. But this film festival, I know because I'm from Houston, I know it's a big one. I said, you know what, I'm going to put my hat in it and see what happens with it. Although we are going to do a few more very hand-selected science fiction one, although I haven't like really decided on what it is, but I want to just target those science fiction specific film festivals and put it there.
Yeah, that would definitely be bringing it right to your audience.
Yeah.
Very cool. So, Christian, have you got to see it with an audience?
No. Besides my wife, that's about it. we watched it. The full cut. I think like a week or two ago.
Nice.
And it was great. It was great. Enjoy it.
Yeah.
She liked it. So that's always a plus.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, I don't want to eat up your guys' whole day, but I really appreciate you taking the time to come on. This was a very cool movie, and I would have a ton more questions, but they're very plot specific, and I'd rather not spoil it for people. So I think everyone should just.
Once it comes out, we'll do another round.
That sounds good. Yeah. But people should definitely check it out and experience it for yourself because it's very cool and very smart.
Yeah. Thank you for that. I mean, it's coming out on May 4th on Dish Network and DirecTV On Demand and Vudu, and then also Amazon Direct, not Amazon Prime, but Amazon Direct. And we are also putting out DVDs that will come out on Walmart. So if you're in Walmart and you see Cerebrum DVD, purchase it, take a picture, and send it to us. And if you have listeners in UK, we are coming out in UK in June, and then eventually followed by Taiwan after that. Taiwan is already like, they had like a review clip in Mandarin, and that's got like 150,000 views right now. So it's kind of like trending in Taiwan.
Oh, nice.
So
Wow, that's huge. Yeah.
yeah. So it's doing well there, and we are definitely talking to different territories. So hopefully, by end of 2021, we should have it in a lot more places like Germany, Australia, and India, and all that. So.
Oh, that's amazing. That's
You
great.
gotta throw Argentina on the list, Arvi. My wife requested it.
Awesome. Well, do you guys want to tell listeners where they can find more of your work or find you online, like your socials or whatever you want to promote?
Arvi, you want to go first, buddy?
Yeah, I mean, you guys can check out all the trailers, exclusive clips, actors gallery, BTS, and everything on our website, which is www.cerebrummovie.com, or follow us on Instagram @cerebrummovie.
And then mine is @ChristianJamesOfficial for Instagram, Facebook, all that kind of stuff. If you guys want to check out Hellfest, it's another movie I'm in that's currently on Netflix. And then Cerebrum's coming out May 4th, and then I have a new TV show with Warner Brothers called Casa Grande coming out in the next year or so.
Awesome, great stuff. Well, thanks again, guys. Really appreciate it. Best of luck with the movie, but it sounds like you guys are doing really well already, so that's great.
Appreciate you, my man. You have a great day.
Yeah. Thanks for taking the time and talking to us.
I'd like to thank Christian and Arvi one more time for coming on the show to talk to me about Cerebrum. Cerebrum is available now. I really enjoyed it, so I recommend you check it out when you're able to. Also, make sure you listen to So Wizard Podcast every single week wherever you get your podcasts. So Wizard Podcast can be found on Patreon, where for as little as $1 a month, you get multiple monthly bonus shows. SoWizardPodcast.com is your resource for reviews, recommendations, merchandise, videos, and more. We love hearing feedback, so drop us a note in the comments, leave us something on social media. All the accounts can be found after the show and in the show notes. And I forgot to do this at the beginning of this whole spiel, but please remember to like and subscribe to the channel. It helps us grow our audience. It helps you make sure you don't miss out on the slew of new interviews, new movie coverage. We've been talking to indie comic artists. We're reaching out to new people all the time. A lot more stuff coming your way. You don't want to miss out. Hit the subscribe. And on a more personal note, a good friend and I released a comic book at the beginning of this year. It's called Social Studies. It's an ongoing series, a slice-of-life comedy comic about the high school experience, all done through the twisted prism of the 90s cartoons that we grew up on. You'll see a lot of influence from the Nicktoons, Recess, Ed and Eddie, those Saturday morning fun kind of cartoons that as a kid kind of reflected what you were going through, but also what you were going through reflected the cartoons. We kind of take that, turn it up a little bit. It's called Social Studies. You can find it at socialstudiescomic.com. So check it out if you get a chance. I appreciate it. Thanks.